I grew up in an upper middle class home in Alexandria, right down the road. When I was growing up, my dad had a really good job. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. From the outside, we looked like we had it all together, like a white picket fence around our home. But from the inside, my whole family was dying because my dad was a very angry man, and his venom would pour into every area of our life. Except, every Sunday we went to church. And even though I didn't have a relationship with God here, I heard the words, and they made a difference in my life later on. When I got into high school, this anger that my father had poured upon us was turned into fear and depression and more anger. And that led me to almost every night, I would close my eyes and this black hole of death would come to my mind. And I knew here that I was going to go to hell, but I had no idea what to do about it. My parents got divorced because my dad had gotten AIDS from double dipping with women, but also with men. The anger continued, and the sense of abandonment was so strong. So I got into sex, and then in college and afterwards I started doing drugs and alcohol just to suppress all the pain and anxiety that was in my heart. Until one day, when I was 24, I was in Panama City, Panama. A series of events had brought me to Central America. I was renewing a visa because I was in Costa Rica, and Costa Rica told me that I had to leave the country and then come back 3 days later. So if you know the Greyhound bus comes in at a bad part of town. Well, this was the red light district. And I was supposed to meet a friend there, of which she was not there. And so I called her and I said, is Maria coming anytime soon? Oh, Maria, she's at the beach. She's not coming. She won't be there for 3 hours. And I got off the phone and I was very afraid, but I knew, okay, I'm going to find a safe place. I'm going to find a church. So I asked some guy, and he said, it's 2 blocks that way. So I went down to the church, but it was padlocked with a chain, and a padlock. There was no getting in that church. So I turned around and I saw this woman getting into her BMW, and I thought, oh, that's a safe place. So I ran over to this woman and I said, ma'am, am I in a dangerous place? And she said, you got to get out of here. Yeah, you're in a very dangerous place. And she got in her car and left. And I was like, don't you see that I'm not supposed to be here? So I started walking back towards the bus stop. And as I was walking back, I saw something that I hadn't seen up until this point. There were prostitutes walking up and down the street. There were people drinking out of brown paper bags. There were people shooting up into their veins with drugs. I was terrified. But I said 4 words. I knew enough to say this. God, please protect me. Well, I went to this outside, kind of like a food truck with stools on the outside. And I was sitting there. 5 minutes goes by. I didn't know what I was going to do. But this man all of a sudden comes and he plops himself down right next to me. And he's talking to the woman in Spanish. And then in a little while, he turns to me in English and he says, what are you doing here? And I said, my bus just came in over there. He said, well, they don't want you here. You need to leave. And I thought, well, I don't know. I still don't know what to do. So he said, you have come to the right place because I am going to be your tour guide out of the red light district. And I knew this was probably not a good option, but I didn't have any other option. So I started walking with this man. I was on the street, he was on the sidewalk, out of the red light district. And all of a sudden I stopped dead in my tracks, and I turned to this man and I said, "How did you know that I needed help?" And he turned and he said, "Because Jesus sent me." And I turned my face and I bawled like a baby, because I knew two things. I knew that God loved me, and I knew that the God of the universe was with me in the red light district. And after that, my life was completely different from that day on. And I want to tell you about some changes that have happened, or that happened right after that. I stopped cursing. I was a sailor. Another thing is that black hole of fear and knowing that I was going to go to hell. Immediately, the fear became hope, and hope for a new life. And then the biggest thing was that anger and abandonment that I felt towards my dad, it started melting away and turning into forgiveness. That was truly remarkable.